Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim. What's going on, Aries?
What's up, girl?
You tell me. So it's been an eventful week. Let's just say that,
Well,
especially for
first of all,
you.
let's acknowledge the fact that we're recording from different locations today.
We are. We
So
are.
I'm in my office. I'm going off script because I feel like we already had ordered how we were going to talk what we're going
Yeah,
to talk
but
about today.
no, I
But
love
let's
it.
just do it. Um, so we are recording from different locations because my kids went back to school.
Yes, here in Texas, a majority, all the kids went back to school, at least in
We
Dallas.
Yes, we are in Texas, and y'all already know that this state, our governor is weird. He is. I don't understand what we're doing in these southern states when it comes to. It's very politicized what we're doing regarding COVID and masks,
Are not
being
mandated.
mandated. Yes, so he's like anti-mask, um,
Even to the point
anti-mask.
of trying to put a law in place where they can't mandate you to wear the mask.
Yes, I'm like okay, and then he came to Collin County like a week ago.
Which is the county that we reside in.
Yes, and the news reported that he contracted COVID. Um, And now he's saying 5 days later that he's testing negative. And, that's just his way of getting people to say, y'all need to go get the vaccine. So we got this vaccinated, unvaccinated argument going on. We got the anti mask argument going on. The school districts around our surrounding areas and the state period are all, trying to determine if they're going to continue to mandate masks regardless and all that. So the district that I live in, they're not mandating masks for kids. I'm mandating masks for mine.
Right.
Obviously, y'all know I homeschooled the boys last year, but and I literally put 3 masks in their backpack every day. So I mean,
Good.
making sure they got extra masks. Like y'all, when
Exactly.
they leave
If
the
you
house, I'm like,
lose it,
yeah, they leave the house. I'm like, keep your mask on. Do you hear me? So I've been really adamant about that. Well, my baby, Marvin, he had came home and was like, probably on Wednesday, and was like, I got a headache or something. I feel like it was Tuesday, if I'm really thinking back properly when he first said he had a headache. And then I was like, you got a headache. Me and LJ been on COVID alert. Anyways, it's like we'd be like, what? Every little anything that sounds like a symptom. I'm like, huh? What you mean? So I'm like, headache. Well, what kind of headache? What you mean
you
headache?
got a sinus headache or a little minor headache.
And that's what I thought it was because he said when I look up, my head hurts, and I was like, that sounds like when you have that sinus pressure. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give you allergy pill, but I got my eye on you, whatever, right? So then the next day he said it felt better. I was like, okay, cool. So then he said, I had got a notice from the school like on that same day that said somebody had been
COVID.
exposed, right?
Wow.
And so we're like, okay, they're like, we're still doing all our measures and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Wednesday, uh, he was like, the headache is gone, but like it was still lingering a little bit. So I was like, okay. Thursday, when he came, I got another notice from the school. And then when he came home, when I talked to him, I said, I got another notice from the school. Like, what's going
Right.
on? He said, his friend did not show up to school that day. And I said, he didn't show up to school, so I'm like extra, like I said, on alert. And then he said, a little bit later, he's talking about the air smells dry.
The
And I
air.
said, what is that? What do you mean air smells dry? What does dry smell like? Can
Oh
you
my
smell
gosh.
stuff? He's like, yeah. And I was like, So I take his temperature. I was taking his temperature every day
Oh,
just to
good.
see. And so it was 98 point something the day before, and then it was like 99.4. I said, I said, nope, come on, everybody put a mask on. We're going. You're going to get a test. Like, I'm not playing around with this. So we went and got him tested. He definitely was positive. Um, and then I didn't get LJ tested. He didn't have any symptoms or anything like that. Neither did I. So we just were focusing because he's the one that was saying stuff like, So then I actually went yesterday and got tested just to see because
For
I'm like, well, we got
yourself.
to quarantine regardless. Like we all
Exactly.
got to stay here. So, which I wanted to be sure because they were going to go with their dad that like he was coming to pick them up the next day. That they were going to be around their grandparents and
Right.
they had baseball practice and all this stuff that I'm like, no, let's be responsible, here and make
Yes.
sure first. So that's what I feel like a lot of people don't do. They
And
just
I
be
was
like,
gonna say I really appreciate you being so responsible, like quarantining in the house, because I don't think people are. And I'll be honest with you, like even after getting vaccinated, I still wore my mask. I
right.
just it became a fixture for me anyway, and I prefer it because then I won't smell you anyway. So I'm
Yeah,
rocking
but
and
see,
rolling.
I was worried because I mean, I put it out there, I'm vaccinated, but I was like, well, I'm living in the house with somebody who I know for a fact has COVID now. Like they make it seem like it's so contagious. He
Yeah,
was up under my armpit. Like the day that I took him to the to get tested, he was all up under me. We were watching TikTok videos on my phone. Like he was sitting right all up in my
up under
armpit,
you.
right? And so they were like, the nurse was like, basically, like, if he don't cough or like sneeze, like something where it can get on you, like y'all not kissing on the lips or whatever, then you probably won't get it. But I was like, let me go get tested and make sure because
Exactly.
I want to see what's going on. Even though I started upping our vitamins, like once I found out, I'm like, okay, we got the new vitamin alert. Um, but LJ has not shown that one symptom. He is not here for the test. Like he just don't want to get tested
Oh,
again.
that's right. That's right. I remember. I remember. Don't remind me.
Yes, and so I actually talked to their pediatrician who is a Black woman. All our doctors are Black. Let me just put that out there. Every last doctor we got is Black. And so she
Ditto.
called me, to check on Marvin and stuff, and she definitely has been adamant about LJ getting the vaccine because he's old enough now. I said, you still want him to get it, even though we've been around? She said, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like she's very big on it.
Good.
So, I mean, and it's just interesting because I'm not though I am vaccinated, I'm not like one of those people who feel like everybody has to get vaccinated. Like I don't know. I feel there's a lot of misinformation out there and I feel like our government, who is trying to push the vaccine, has done a terrible job of educating people on why we should get it and why it's so bad that people who don't have it, like, other than the fact that they're feeling, they're saying the ICUs and, the hospitals are at capacity and most of
And
those people are unvaccinated. It just feels like it's more about, if you're
the
getting it,
narrative
trying
that
to
they're
help your,
playing. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, you can't come up in here if you ain't vaccinated. But guess what? People who vaccinated can still pass on
Contract it.
COVID, and so
Exactly.
just to say we got a room full of people who are vaccinated, we can still be passing COVID to each other. And you could be bringing it to somebody who's not vaccinated, So I don't know. It's just a lot there.
It is a lot.
Anywho, the Texas lieutenant governor who works
Girl,
for our governor got the nerve to say that Black people,
unvaccinated Black people are the reason for
yes,
the spread.
girl. And I'm like,
And
first of
I
all,
thought
we're
about
only
something.
9% of the population of Texas. Let's just first put that there. Um, Sir, tomorrow the Democrats need to talk about Black people who not vaccinated. They 90% of them vote Democrat. Why are we talking about votes? Are we trying to stop the spread of COVID? Or are we just trying to use that as another way of politicizing things?
Politicizing and again trying to project a narrative that puts it off on us in a way that negates the reason why is Black
Right.
people, right?
Right. No.
No, no.
And the governor, so his boss, was just blaming the immigrants. It's another way that they're using to basically go back. Let's figure out more ways we could discriminate against Black people in um, Latinx, because
But
that's what they're really targeting. It's not just, it ain't
yeah,
really about immigrants because they telling them pull over people. You could pull people over, profile people, again, to say like if you think you see people trying to get over the border and all this and that, like they're the ones using COVID as a reason. And it's like COVID ain't got nothing to do with it. You just looking for another reason to start
exactly.
profiling folks.
And I can't help but think, like, I know we hadn't talked about this, but there was something in the news about, bathing habits of a certain, um, you know, type of people.
It's
And
been a conversation.
it's been a conversation, and I can't help but think, okay, well, if you aren't bathing frequently, can I trust that you are, are you clean? Like I bathe every day. Like we're here in Texas. I probably bathe 2-3 times a day. It's
Girl.
a 2 minimum bath up in here. If you go outside, you're gonna need a bath when you come back up in here.
Yes.
Don't you get up in those sheets
Don't
and
lay on no bed with your
do
outside clothes on.
do not. That is a pet peeve. Do not come in here with your outside clothes and get on my bed. I'm gonna have a
I
problem.
don't play.
I
Yeah.
do
But
not play.
but the point is that they are really trying to use this again as our previous president was doing. It's just so obvious that,
Yes,
and I want us to really get educated on being able to see things for what they are. Don't just go off of, I don't watch the news like that.
I
Like
don't
I
either.
go when I'm looking for certain things and I have my networks. There is also y'all can go on YouTube and look up the Black News channel that gives you news from a Black perspective.
Perspective
And they're talking about all the same stuff that
that
these
impacts
other
us.
channels are talking about. Not saying only go to that either. Go get multiple sources to see, like, is this a valid source for me to be getting my information from?
That
Do
part.
some real research.
Know your
Don't just
source.
Google and be like, it was on the internet. So what that mean? Like, where did it come from? Was it the New York Post? Was it the Wall Street Journal? Like, there are some credible news sources that people who still actually follow journalistic honesty or whatever they call it,
Exactly.
that can give you some valid sources of news. So I just, I want to encourage us as a people to not just listen to everybody. You got people, Tank this week have went kind of public, viral about
The singer?
posting stuff on his page about saying that he's not saying either way about getting vaccinated, but he's posting all this stuff about people who died who were vaccinated. And I'm like, okay, people still die. We keep on making everything one sided. It's like there are going to be people who, guess what? You might have got vaccinated and you might die. Does it mean you
Exactly.
die
It does
from the
not keep you from
vaccine?
dying
Does it mean you die from a heart attack? Does it mean
or
you
car
die because
accident.
yeah, like you're not necessarily gonna, it's nothing is 100%. We need to start working on getting better healthy, getting more healthy, working on our body. Like I'm even like, technically, if I look up my BMI, they would say I'm obese,
Yeah,
because,
same.
these booty and thighs,
But
what I'm saying? They got,
let's talk about credibility in terms of the in terms of that chart as well. That's a whole nother
well,
conversation
yeah,
because
that's why I'm like, these booty and
was
thighs,
built
honey, they
around
put me on the
the
border of that
typical.
for.
Yeah, that wasn't. They might need a BMI chart for Black people because our makeup is just totally different.
Right. So,
I
but
mean,
again,
we was picking cotton and carrying heavy stuff.
them squats, girl. So, anywho, me and my boys, like we went walking yesterday. We're active family, so just doing what you can to try to stay as healthy as possible. That's probably going to be the best method to
That's
try
good.
to,
We
and put
are,
that mask on, like try to wear
girl.
your mask as much as possible.
I That mask is a fixture, and I honestly think, and I've seen it even in some school districts. I think I heard on the news where they made it part of the uniform policy or the dress code, and I was like, "That's
I
smart.
like
Like that's
that.
a great way to get around it." Because I was like, "Okay, you will dress code somebody. Just coded my daughter. Let's talk about something that could harm people. Let's put that mask on. I don't mind wearing the mask. I love
Right.
it.
And
I
let's stop
love it.
talking about discriminated against our hair, and let's focus on
Oh,
these masks.
oh,
But anyway, moving on. Um, something else that was in the news this week. Okay, this is kind of funny.
out of
I'm sorry.
Texas, out of
I
Texas
laughed.
again.
I'm sorry. I did laugh. But we talked on here about Shikari
Richardson.
Richardson and her not being able to go into the participate in the Olympics in Tokyo. The Jamaicans killed the game. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. So they kick butt up in
Booty
Tokyo. Okay, and so they had a race yesterday
for
where
Nike. It was a Nike race, right?
yeah, what was the Prefontaine or something like that? I
Something
forgot
like
what it's
that.
called. Something like that. Anyways,
And Nike
they
had stood beside her too, because
stuck beside
I got an
her.
alert from my Nike app about her, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like they was talking about her coming up, she's coming back, like her comeback. And I was like, okay, cool. And
Yeah,
then
because
I see that.
they were very vocal about her from the beginning when she got disqualified because of the weed, or THC in her system. And they were like, "We're gonna stick beside her." I was like, "I love it. I'm here for it." So she's known to be a trash talker, which most athletes, that's kind of a part. It comes with it and everything like that. So everybody was really looking forward to this because they're like, "This is what we were supposed to see in Tokyo." This is what we were supposed to see. All these ladies
Right.
were going to participate. Let's see. She had the 10.6, I think, on her, as her record. And that was like it. And that was, they're like, we got the 10.6, 10.7, all in the same race. It's about to be fire. So, everybody was waiting for this race. She's right in the middle of the 1 and 2 Jamaicans is everything. Like, yes. And when they shot that gun up in the air and that race started, child, that baby was in last place. I'm sorry. It was so funny. LJ was like, oh my God, she got smoked.
I felt bad for her.
It was embarrassing because, especially when you talk trash, that's like somebody who's a boxer and then like they be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then they get knocked out. You
And
be
then
like,
get knocked out.
no,
Yes.
were you practicing in this time off? Um,
And confidence is great, but sometimes you have to have a little bit of humbleness and humility. And sometimes you keep the
yeah.
confidence without necessarily like sharing. Like, you tell people, oh, I'm gonna do this, and you don't do it, and they're like, oh, you said you were gonna do that. That's why it's like some things you just kind of keep to yourself.
I
Keep
always err on the side of
caution for me.
yes, like I'm more humble because I just know life.
I
I
know
done been there,
life.
I done been through some things. So
And
it's
not
not
and I attribute that to she's experiencing
yes.
some stuff, right?
She is
And
now.
baby, God is showing her something, right?
He
Like
said,
you
sit
about to
down, be
sit
humble.
down.
Oh my goodness. But that's what I was gonna say. Life it will humble you. My grandma used to be like, live a little longer, honey. We're gonna see. She's like,
Yep.
when she was heard one of her saying was, when your tits in the ringer, we're gonna see what happens. Cause you just be like, cause I would never. When you
And
young,
that's
you
not
be
gonna
like,
happen to me. And I'm not gonna
yes,
ever get old. I used to make
yeah,
these old people jokes, and here I am, bones cracking, like, I need to go get stretched. I need some
right,
KT tape. So
yes. So she definitely got humbled. I will say that it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. I'm sure it hit her, away. She did a very good job, I will say, for that to have happened to you, for you to be in last place. When she did her post interview, she was like, I love women. I support all these women. I wish them success. Like she tried, like it was very different from some of the other ones that she has had, and I could tell she had to dig deep from her gut to give that, because she's very confident, and so I'm like, okay, she is learning. And I pray that when she comes back out, this will motivate her to really be like, never
I'm gonna just
again.
do it. Like Nike, just do it. Don't talk about it like Nike.
Be
Just
about
do
it.
it.
Don't
Yeah.
talk no more. Because the chick
Yes.
who won, she set a new record,
Ooh.
10.5. And only what they say, Flojo was the only one that had that, beat that. Flojo was a beast. I'm sorry. Y'all got to go back on
And
those.
I was like, where is FloJo? Can you reach out to her and mentor her? Because she might need someone there to really help coach her. And she doesn't, and we know that she's gone through some challenges in life, and she may not have someone like a support system that has actually been through this, but someone who is actually like FloJo, who's experienced like being the fastest woman in
well,
track and
you know
field.
that Flojo passed away.
Oh
So
Lord, I
she's
forgot.
definitely, yeah, she passed
I forgot. She
away.
sure did. She
I'm
sure
like,
did.
so she can't help her, but
Yeah, she sure did.
somebody can. It's too many people out there. It's others. It's
It's even
plenty of
other
others.
athletes that might not even be in track and field, but she need the aunties to come and
She got to be willing to listen, though. I
that
know a lot
is
of young folks will be
true.
like, I'm all that. I don't need no help. Okay, well, guess what? I bet you she wants some now. So anyway, be humble, y'all. We're gonna be humble. But that
Yes.
that, that was kind of funny to me. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. Anywho, that was
That's what's in the news
interesting.
now. COVID and
Yeah.
back to school. So
Ciao.
yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
tried it.
So let's talk about you. You've had some updates. I haven't, we didn't record last week. The only update that I have is I did go to Austin. That was a nice little
Mm.
getaway.
You and your
Definitely,
daughter.
yeah. Me and Kiara, we just took a little mother daughter trip, and I ended up connecting with a couple of colleagues from my old job. So that was good. Got a flat tire while I was in Austin.
What?
I didn't tell you.
No.
Girl, yes. On the highway going to this adventure, right? Because I always like to have adventure. So I'm driving and I ended the meeting, jumped in the car because I really didn't have a lot of time. I wasn't rushing, but I was trying to I like to be early on time.
Uh-huh.
So we're driving on the highway, pop, right? And I was like, okay, what is that? So just my spidey senses said Kim exit, right? And so Kiara, she's such a nervous I'm not gonna say she's a nervous child, but she's very observant,
Anxious.
anxious. And so she's looking at the tire. How you can see the number on the tire and the inflation of the tire. She was like, it's going down. So I was like, okay, I gotta exit and get to a really safe spot that has a tree. Because it
Was
was
this on
like,
your way down?
no, this was on my way to an adventure we were going to, like we
Got
were
it.
doing wipeout on top of the park.
Hmm.
And girl, we went and like I said, we had to pull over, and thankfully I pulled over and found like a little, I guess where it was a building, a work building, corporate building, and I just parked under a tree and I had to call roadside service. And I was just like, I could be freaking out, but I think life has taught me. It's like I've had this, and I'm like, okay, this is how I have to react. And even Kiara, she's been there with me in the trenches and experienced things. And so I was like, well, let me just call AAA. And AAA was like, it's going to be like maybe an hour and 30 minutes. I was like, well, let me call roadside on my State Farm. So I put in
Yes.
for both. And the
Okay.
State Farm came. I was like, whoever comes first, I'll cancel. And it was just like, you have to be ready to think because just life will just come at you. But we ended up having to go back to the hotel because after that ordeal, Sam's Club, that's where I bought my tires. And so you get a warranty with that. And with that warranty, they will fix your tires, right? So anywhere worldwide, wherever you are, they can pull it up in the system.
Hmm.
But as you know, employment is down. So they only had two people working there. Do
Oh
you know I
wow.
waited there for 4 hours to get my tire fixed?
Uh-uh.
But I could go nowhere else because I was in a whole different city that I didn't know about, right? So I
That
was really,
sucks.
it did. So that took away a half a day, but we went back to the room, got us something to eat, took us a shower, and got in the bed because I was like, I'm done after this. I was like, we'll try again another day
Yeah, that's
because
an
I had
adventure.
to, I
That
had to
was its own
cancel.
adventure. Yeah.
That was in its own adventure. So that was really the only thing. We did have a good time while we were there. Austin is nice. I think it'll be great, to make it a little annual, like just go there for a weekend. And I know you went the week before.
I was in my hotel room the whole time, child, so
You
I didn't
sure
even really go.
were. I mean, most of the time we were in the hotel, and so then we ended up walking around the domain. The domain was pretty nice, and then after that, I mean, we just chilled, and then we came on back on Sunday.
Nice. Yes. You gotta have those little getaways.
You do; they're
I'm here for
necessary.
that.
And I don't know how I feel about getting on a plane
For
these
what?
days.
Oh, period.
Just now with the flu season
Girl,
coming up,
this is shoot. It's the
yeah,
same as far as I'm concerned with all this these folks
with
out
with the
here.
flu season and COVID, because you might have some people had the flu and you don't know if you have COVID or the flu. So I
Hmm.
again, Kim will be masked up,
Mask up, mask on,
a mask on.
mask on.
So that was my only update. But you have some things that are going on, and actually that's what we spent our Friday night doing. If you want to share with the people what you have going on.
Well, this week, was it this week? It was actually last week. I had a coworker. I don't think I talked about it. I don't think I talked about it on here, but one of my coworkers nominated me for I want to say it's an award, but it's like a list that, um, so Channel Futures, they did this inaugural like DEI 101 list, and it basically honors individuals that are working to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion,
I
like
love
in
it.
technology. And so my coworker nominated me. I had no idea. that he was nominating me. This is just somebody who had been observing me within the office and me being bold and loud,
Being bold.
working on diversity stuff, at work. And he literally did that on his own because I had to ask him. I'm like, who nominated me?
I
And I'm
love it.
like, what, Andrew? Like, I just was so
You never know
shocked.
who's watching you.
You don't know who he was like, you deserve it. You've been doing so much, this, and that. And I'm like, wow. He took the time to go out and like do that. That just meant a lot to me. I was really like,
I
dang, talk
love
about
it.
being humble. So my company, they put it, blasted it everywhere. They did a press release. Like they really took it and ran with it. And posted all over LinkedIn and people were resharing it and stuff. I'm like, huh? Me? I feel like those people who are like, when you get an award, it's like, I
Yes.
want to thank the Academy.
Yes. I
So that was
love
really
it.
cool. I mean, I've never gotten anything like that. I'm not a big person to go out and promote myself. Like that's not my thing. So for someone to take their own time and do something like that, that meant a lot to me. So that was pretty cool. Um, and then y'all, I feel like we talked about me being on the show. Did we not?
Very briefly, but it had not aired. Okay, so let's
Okay,
talk about
okay.
that.
So
So
I'm
while we were in Austin, you sent me the no, I think it was episode. Was it one or was it? Yeah, it was episode one. You were like, "Hey, it aired," or maybe it was episode
it could have
two.
been
It was
child.
episode
I don't know.
two. So when we went back to the hotel,
But
one
did we
thing.
say what it is? Let's go. Let's talk about what it is
Let's talk
first.
about what it is. You did not. You just said, "Hey,
Love
I'm gonna
on.
be on a
So Kev on stage and his wife. Well, it's actually Mrs. Kev on Stage's show on Kev on Stage Studios, which is a streaming service that you can go and download on your phone or your TV, whatever. I think it's like $5.99 a month.
$5.99 a month."
Yeah, so you can just do it a couple months so y'all can support your girl.
Forego the
Anyway,
Starbucks 1 week.
yes. So they are it's a show called Love on Stage and it's a dating show where they have three women. I am one of them. And they got somebody in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. So I'm the OG
I
in the
love it.
group. Anyway, so they have all these, they're matching us with these guys that they're finding. And so what they do is they had a panel of people who are looking at these guys and seeing who would match with who. And then the audience, by the time y'all see this, it's too late for y'all to vote. So um, votes on who we're going to date based on what they've shown of these guys. Right. And so by the time this airs, I will know who I'm dating, I think. Yeah. I'll know who I'm going to be dating. So the dates are virtual. You will go on a series of, I think, 3 virtual dates with this person that they're going to curate what we're going to talk about, what we're going to activities, if we're going to be doing stuff. I don't know, cooking. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, what are we doing on these virtual dates? But it's
I can't
virtual
wait. I'm
because they're
excited.
all over Texas. So who knows where this person lives and all that. And then we will meet in person for the first time and determine whether we want to continue dating or if we want to just be friends. So you got to tune in to see what's what. And by the time we start
Yes.
dating, I told Kim she just do her own. She said she's gonna do her own recaps. So I
Well,
don't know.
I did one in the hotel. Kiara and I was like, I should have recorded that because, girl, we were going in. I was like, nope, nope,
You can't
nope.
record that. So next,
Ah,
well, by the time it starts airing again, because I feel like they're gonna have a break. I don't know what's gonna happen, but when we start the dates, maybe you could do a recap show on
I
the. Because I will
absolutely
have
will.
already done the dates by the time the recap. By the time you see them, I will have already done all the dates.
Listen,
So
I'm already feeling some type of way about the men. And it's just to me like there is an opportunity in the black community for us to level up on black men. Like the women are so like together on par, they have it together. But I was like, I don't necessarily know that correlates with the women that they have selected. It was one guy. I don't remember his name.
mhm.
He was like, I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is great. He said, I need support. I was like, support. We need to expound on that because your definition of support, do you mean financial support, pat you on the
He
back
wants someone to
support?
support his dreams.
Yeah, but let's dig deeper.
What does that
Supporting
mean?
dreams. What does that look like? Does that like, oh, good job. What do you need? Oh,
Right.
you need a financial, you need someone to invest.
Investor.
Right. You need a sponsor? No, 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 no. So
Yeah, it
I
was
mean, and that's
interesting.
why I like this show because just dating, I think in just in general, not even just in the black community, dating, we need to do better. I can
Yes.
speak about it from a black experience. It's like we don't date well and we need
Yeah.
to date, real quick. We don't even know the person. And then next thing you know, oops, is a baby shower now. So
Child. We
let's
are we don't know ourselves enough to date well. First of all, let's just get that under control because what I see in most of these dating books and all the stuff, they're it's like and videos and just stuff that I see is like teaching you about like what to look for in this person. Wait, well, first we need to see what you don't know what you need, what you want, what's gonna
you
work
don't
well
know
with
you.
you. So I use this example talking to somebody the other day. I said, when I meet people in general, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not friends with everybody. There's only a select few of people that make it to be a friend of mine, right? Like, are you friends with everybody that you meet on the street?
No, ma'am.
The people who you consider friends are people who have similar core values as you. There is something about them that like y'all are able to
Connect.
connect on different things. I use you as an example. I said, when me and Kim met, we met in the gym doing something that we both enjoy, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then we took it a step further and was like, hey, let's go to brunch or something. And then we started speaking more and learned, hey, we have this thing in common. We
Exactly.
like to read books. We like to go to networking events. We like to do personal development, and assessments and stuff.
Right.
Like there was all these things. We're like, oh, this is so cool. So that
Right.
grew our relationship to go stronger and stronger. And
That's
now
true.
we're 7, 8 years later and that's what created this friendship. We need to take that same look at these people. You'll see somebody, you'll be like, okay, well, I'll deal with that. I'll settle with
No,
that.
no, no, no.
And it's like, why are you doing that? You wouldn't
You're
be
right.
friends with this person.
If you want to be friends with them, then why would you date them? Also, and I'm looking at, and I started looking. I told you this on a couple of times, and even on the podcast, is like I started dating different. There was two things. One, my daughter. Like, why would I want someone? Would I want her to date someone like that? Number one.
Yes.
Number two is like, if I can't be your friend, how am I gonna be your mate?
We can't, it ain't,
I
it
gotta
ain't.
like you.
Yes. Even with my boy's dad, me and him were friends for about 7 years before we ever
Wow.
even tried to date. But we worked together. So we were co-workers for a long time. It wasn't until after I left the company that we even I had to take time to even get it wrapped around my mind to
I
date
was
him. Yeah,
right.
like I'm like, no. I was rejecting him like left and right for a very long time. And he was just very persistent. You know what I'm saying? But because I'm like, you know all my business. Like he knew all my business. Like guys that I have been dating, like I have been telling him stuff, like because you're being yourself, like 100%. So to this day, even though we're not together, and yes, it's rough. Obviously, once you get together and then you break up and you got kids and drama and all that, but we work through that and we're friends. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not
Yeah.
besties. We're not talking on the phone and hanging out like that, but we can have a conversation and it's respect. It's just
Right.
something that's still there that lingers around that the friendship is still solid. Um, that is what I'm looking at. When I'm looking to date, I'm like, I need emotional security. I need someone that, I can be open and vulnerable with and all that kind of stuff. Like, are you safe
I was gonna
emotionally?
say
Do
safe.
you,
Like, do I feel
yeah,
safe? Can I trust you?
yeah, like that's a big part of what I would be looking for in a person that I'm going to be, with. I know that the people that I call friends, I can be vulnerable with, and they're not out here telling my business.
Correct.
I've never had my business get repeated outside of my circle,
Yep.
of people that I'm with. That's big for me. Also, are we intellectually compatible? That means
Baby, because I need
just
some
like with,
sapiosexual. Okay.
right, and that don't mean you need to be a rocket science. I'm not a rocket science
Exactly.
scientist or whatever, but I like to be able to discuss topics with people. Can we, are you gonna be like, what is this? Like, You don't know what's going on in the world. You don't know what's going on in, like, can we have
You're
a conversation where I don't have to explain every doggone thing to you?
And can you drive a conversation without me having to lead the conversation? Like, can you lead that conversation? Don't always look for me to have conversation. Like, you need to be able to drive that. Bring
Yes.
up different topics.
I
Yes.
think, I think about like with my kids, right? I have to explain a lot of things to them because first of all, they're little and they weren't born to know the context behind certain pieces of things, right? So I'm like,
Correct.
okay, so da 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 da. I do that all the time. I don't want to do that in a conversation with a grown person
No.
and be like,
And baby child, we're always on conference calls or talking to people. So when you get off, you don't want to always have to, you want it to be even
teach.
killed. You don't want to be the person always taking lead. That's the thing. And
Yes.
what I love, something that you really said, and I love what you said on the love on stage. And they
Hmm.
asked, like, what are you looking for? Right. One thing all of you all said, it was a theme. You had to have a relationship with God.
Hmm.
So coming from that, that's good. But then you said, I'm looking for someone to who exemplifies leadership. What does leadership
Yes.
look like? And I was like, yes, that is it. And I think, when we look for men, like, are we developing leaders? And what does that look like? I know you're doing a great job with your sons in terms of developing leaders, but I'm concerned, like, now, like, with in the Black community, have we developed
Yeah.
leaders?
I don't think so. Because what happens is, and as a parent, I'll say, I think about that because I know what I'm attracted to, the
And
type
what
of
you've
men that I like.
experienced.
So when I'm looking at my sons and I have times where this is a learning lesson because I'm like, oh no, I don't want to be raising no man that's not thinking like this. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I use it as example. You have to be thinking ahead when you're parenting. You're thinking, what am I creating? What am I pouring into these young men or young women to make, so that it's shaping their mind and how they're going to see things. So, you know, yeah,
Same. Even
I'm
like for a
looking at that.
daughter, even for a daughter, as Black women having raising Black daughters, sometimes we we teach them so much independence sometimes that
Hmm.
it's hard for them to look to a man who can lead. And so in like I
Yes.
want her to be independent and have her own and be able to do her own things, but I also want her to realize that there are men who can lead that you should be able to depend on, but it's like we're not necessarily seeing it as much as we should. They are out there. I have plenty of men in my direct like community and my family who are leaders, but just like if you look on social media or just out and about, they're not seeing it every day like they should.
I think if as women we know how to tap into our feminine energy, that will draw the masculine men our way. I know I have a lot of masculine energy that comes out because a lot of times when I'm around passive men, my masculine energy rises to the top. Okay. It's
Yeah.
just the reality of it because it's like, okay, you're not taking charge. Well, move out the way. That's literally how
Right.
my personality
And
is
I don't
in
even know if that's
general.
masculine
It
energy.
is
I don't
though.
think
It
it's
is though. It is
I feel
though.
like it's you've been put
When
in a position where you have to take on certain
it's
responsibilities.
masculine energy. So
I don't know.
when
We
you're
might have
around it,
to
it is though. No, it's not. That is what that
oh,
is.
when you're around
It
a man.
when you are, yeah, that period. The fact that I am the head of my household and I'm doing all these, that is a lot of the energy. If we're thinking about traditional um values and roles, yes, because when I'm around a masculine man, honey, that feminine comes in. I am ready to you could take on
You're
it was
right.
one
And
thing
I'll say this.
because this one thing that they said on the show about me, they were like, one of the guys, the panelists were saying something like, she's been doing her thing for so long, like, is she gonna be ready to get let go of the reins? And I'm like,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
because I'm tired of
For the
that. I
right
don't
one.
want to do that. But
For the
I'm
right
saying,
one. You're right.
well, yeah, when it's the right person that has that's giving off masculine energy to me is when I'm around a man that's like, babe, I got that. You sit down. I got
Right.
this. Honey, that turns me on. Like that is
Yes. You can
let
take
me well let me
control.
sit down there,
And I
honey.
know
I'm
we
ready to
come
sit down.
Right. And we've talked about this masculine, feminine energy. This is all over TikTok, all over social media. And I challenge to me and I say, if we're so masculine, why are we having to be put in this position? It's because you all aren't
That's the
leveling
point.
up and stepping it up, right? That's why if you're saying we're masculine, it's because you're acting feminine. So level up and come to the table and take lead as
The
men.
issue is that people want to mix traditional and modern.
That is
And you
absolutely the
you
issue.
gotta choose, right?
Yep.
So, and if you don't have to choose. You need to choose what you're going to, how you want to mix it. If you're gonna mix it, you need to determine
How
how,
you
what
gonna
does that
remix
look like?
this? Yep. How you want to
Right. What
remix
does
it?
that look like? Do you want me to work and also bring home the bacon, cook it, clean it? You want me to do all the traditional roles, gender roles, and go out and cook and work and do all the things? Or do you want to
You
mix this up
do you
to where,
want
hey,
equity in this?
we
Is
both
there
go work?
equality in this and equity in this relationship?
Exactly. We both go work, bring home the bacon, and we both be
And
up
you
in
gonna cook
here,
sometimes as well, and you might wash some dishes, and you gonna wash your clothes.
which I'm fine with.
I am fine
I
with
would
that.
100% fine with that.
Listen,
So
my
yeah,
dad used to do a lot of the domesticated stuff. So I come from. I'm not gonna say it was traditional, but he was willing to get in the trenches, right?
yeah,
It wasn't like, oh, she just works. I work. All she has to do is do this. No, I'm gonna help out with the child. I spent a lot of time with my dad.
yeah.
Maybe more time with my dad than I did my mother because she was working more.
I think we glorify the olden days
We do.
and without keeping it in context. There was a lot of understanding going on around who was doing what, when, and where. Both of my grandmothers worked. So I don't even know what that looked like. You know what I'm saying? Um, they both worked, and so did my grandfathers. And them kids was helping do all the stuff because they had kids that was helping take care of the other kids, and all that. But yeah, I think my message. I think it probably got
Yep,
lost in all
I
this.
know.
Was as you go into, and I'm going into this show, at this point, I'm very aware of my core values and what they are, uncompromising about them. I will not, shall not, cannot
And will not.
compromise. Yeah, I'm like, will not, cannot, shall not. Compromise my core values. That is very big to me. I'm not gonna be friends with somebody who don't match those. So why would I date somebody that doesn't match
I
them?
love it. I
You
love
know?
it.
So
And
if
I
we get
think
better at that, I think we need to start really understanding what that is and
right.
what we to see that, and don't compromise that, because settling is just gonna end up bad.
It is
You're not
not.
gonna get what you're trying to get in it anyway. So
And it's and then you're also forcing it. And when it's forced, I don't it's not a good
don't force it.
experience.
Yeah, don't for it. Ain't it's not
Again, I
gonna work.
can't just my favorite example is like, would you force your hair into a ponytail that cannot get into there? No.
You're gonna lose edges. Do you want to keep your edges or not? So
So let's
anywho,
follow Aries on this journey. Please go and follow her. I'm having an exciting time. It's only
Lord,
episode 3, and
I'm
I'm
nervous.
super excited about it. I think it's
Listen,
gonna be a
y'all,
learning lesson for sure. Right?
I'm nervous. I am nervous because I am very authentic to my personality. Am I gonna be able to keep myself under control when I'm on these dates without busting these dudes out? When I see things, I'm gonna be honest. I already told them. I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest." So I hope that I'm able to still represent myself well, because I don't be playing no games. So yeah, go download the Kev on Stage Studios app. It is a streaming service. You could either do the full year, which you don't have to do that, but
$45
for the
a
show,
year. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's $50, and then
Mm-hmm.
but it's $5.99 per month, so you could just do it long enough to watch the show and then be done. But I think it's funny, it's fun, and I'm looking to see how it's gonna be. So stay tuned on
Yes.
that. Also, go to our YouTube if you're not watching us already on YouTube and you're listening to the podcast on the podcast service. Go follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are trying to grow that platform, so we need your support if you listen on a different platform. And then go over to boldblackgirls.com. You can still go get your Bold Black Girls t-shirt and mugs. These are really
Cheers.
cute. And then join our newsletter, because as we start growing things, we're going to be using that way to communicate to folks. So anything else you got, Kim?
No, I'm just super excited about this journey. I feel like you manifested this after we did the recap with Ready to Love. And so now
I
look at you
know.
here. So it's just gonna be fun, and it'll be an opportunity for our listeners to also learn how to date well.
Yeah, we're going to see if I can stick to
Yeah, we
my
could do like a
rules.
lessons learned. You could probably make this into like a guide on how to date well.
We gonna see. Let's see if I did well, child. I might fall apart
Oh, you
after a
will.
couple
I'm
episodes.
very
But anyway,
confident. You've done the work, as they said. You have done the work, so you're gonna do fine.
all right,
It's
y'all.
it's,
Well,
it's going to be, have they done the work?
hmm, yeah, we about to see. Anywho, all right, y'all. We love you. We will catch y'all next week, and have a bold
Have
week.
a bold week.
See ya.
Peace.